Welcome back, book lovers, to another thrilling deep dive at Goddess Garden Book Chat. I'm your host, 11 Goddess, and today we're stepping into the eerie, bizarre, and darkly hilarious world of Tales from the Gas Station, Volume 1, by Jack Townsend and narrated by John Grills. Now, let me share this with you. If you like your fiction, laced with absurdity, wrapped in existential dread, and served with a side of cosmic horror, you are in for a treat. But don't take my word for it. No. Let's break it down. And as always, I brought in my squad, my GGBC squad I've been showing you guys, into this safe space to discuss this book. Well, really, they help me discuss all books. So I hope you're enjoying that they're infused into every one of these particular tales, no matter how weird they get. So let's get into it, friends, and I'll see you with my perspective on the other side.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's exciting review. Now, let's talk about Tales from the Gas Station, Volume 1 by Jack Townsend, and narrated by John Grills. A recurring theme that drives this book is the death of a certain character over and over again. Every time they die, reality shifts, like someone's hitting the reset button. This isn't just a gag, it speaks to a larger theme of the book: the inevitability of fate, and the insignificance of individual lives in the grand scheme of things. It's like the universe itself is running on bad code.
Exactly. Every time this character dies, it's as if the world reconfigures itself but barely acknowledges it, like a minor glitch. And Jack, he barely reacts. He's beyond shock, beyond grief. He just rolls with it. That's a huge part of this book's charm. It's horror, yes, but it's also absurd comedy at its finest.
And let's not forget how this ties into the overall theme of gas station employees being mere pawns in something much, much bigger. Jack is trapped in an endless cycle of shifts, unable to leave, unable to sleep, almost like he's already dead, just going through the motions. Now, let's pivot to discuss the supernatural conspiracy: monster hunters, sociopaths, and doomsday cultists.
This book slowly peels back its layers to reveal that Jack's little gas station is a magnet for all kinds of supernatural and nefarious forces. On one hand, you've got literal monster hunters who know more than they let on. Then there's the gas station's management, which is clearly in on something. And let's not forget the sociopaths, who just seem to appear out of nowhere, drawn to the chaos like moths to a flame.
And then there's the Doomsday Cult. Every great cosmic horror tale needs one right. But what makes this one so unsettling is that they seem to be working off a script. They know what's going to happen before it does, almost as if someone's pulling the strings, which makes you wonder, does Jack actually have free will? Or is he just another piece in this cosmic game?
Oh, and let's not forget, all of these elements set up Book 2. The conspiracy only gets deeper. If you think this book was just some episodic horror comedy, you're in for a shock. The world is much bigger, much darker, and far more organized than we initially thought.
Without giving too much away, Book 1 leaves us with more questions than answers. We start to realize that the gas station isn't just a weird place. It might be the weird place, a kind of crossroads for supernatural activity. The connections between the monsters, the cultists, and Jack's own condition are just starting to come together.
And our friend Jack? He's starting to realize that surviving the night shift isn't enough. He's being dragged deeper into something that's way above his pay grade. And, well, let's just say, if you think Book 1 was weird, Book 2 takes things to another level.
Think Men in Black meets The Twilight Zone meets a gas station bathroom at 3 a.m. That's where we're headed, people. If Book 1 was the setup, Book 2 is where the real nightmare begins.
Welcome back, everybody. And that was our deep dive into Tales from the Gas Station. I hope you enjoyed it. That was volume one, but what I saw, this book is a two-volume series. I haven't started book two yet, but I intend to, so we will probably be here again. This book is a really interesting blend of horror, absurdity, and conspiratorial weirdness. I, I didn't have a good beat on it in the beginning. It was one of those books where it sort of intrigued me when I saw it as I was scrolling through Audible, and I said, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." Interesting angle. Had no idea. It has this weird comedy element, even though there is existential dread throughout this entire novel. There's something so weirdly creepy about everything that is happening. And we get into sort of wrapping this up, I just want to point out a few takeaways that stick with me to this day about this really creepy novel. Now, the book's ability to thrive on this balance of humor and horror in a way that feels almost real is why it was a page turner. Because in my youth, I have been to the smaller parts of this country where there are these small town gas stations that almost always have somebody that you would normally encounter working in these situations. These one shot encounters where you're like, okay, well, I'm never coming back here again, that kind of thing. We've kind of all been there, and I got that. I also got Jack's exhaustion. He was super detached. Like, this is just another day of work attitude in the face of pure insanity. He never got harried, even though every day was absolutely horrifying from the outside looking in, like, dude, quit this job. And it's a feeling, and so many of us can relate to, because you almost want to tap somebody on the shoulder when they tell you about their day, and you say, I don't think you should be doing that. That doesn't sound healthy. And yet there's something deeply unsettling about how passive he is about the whole thing. The world around him is shifting, it's warping, and it's quite literally rewriting itself. Yet he keeps on going like, no biggie. There's something profoundly human in a way about the way he does that, because in many ways, so many people, and I'm starting to realize this in 2025, passively approach life. They're not actively paying attention to the things that are going on around them. And so they're just sort of blase about it. Now, within the book, there's this underlying theme of powerlessness. And Jack is not a hero. He's not fighting monsters, and he's not solving the mystery that is the daily existence of this gas station and the things that happen in it. And he's just sort of surviving. And that survival isn't even in his control most of the time. And it begs the question, how much of our own lives are dictated by forces we can't see? You know what I mean? How often do we just go through the motions, accepting the weirdness of the things that are happening in the world because, well, what else can we do? I mean, it's, above my pay grade kind of mentality. Now, let's not forget the deeper message here. And it might be some horrors aren't meant to be understood. You might sort of glean that because there's so many questions that you're going to have reading this book. And Jack works at the gas station because you get the sense that that's where he belongs. He sort of is the gas station in a way. It's a part of his persona. And every attempt to make sense of what's happening either leads to a dead end or worse, only opens up the door to more terrifying questions. It's a kind of horror that lingers long after you close the book or turn off the narration, in my particular case. And it brings us to book two. I was reading the synopsis of this and it looks super interesting. And it's about uncovering the first layer of the nightmare because, again, you're left with a lot of questions. Um, so I'm interested in it just because I hate leaving a book going, "Oh, what the heck?" So I'm definitely asking a lot of questions. And I want to know who's really in control. That's another big issue with this book. Who's actually calling the shots? Because there's this beckoning that is happening, this underlying summoning of Jack. And I want to know who's behind it. I want to know. So, anyway, the book is the beginning of a journey that forces everybody who's going to read it to ask if we truly understand the reality we live in. Do we accept the bizarre because questioning it is just too exhausting? Or is ignorance the only thing keeping us sane? I actually had a friend pick up this book because I'm stuttering. I highlighted it in my social media feed that I was going to read it. And they saw it and they thought, oh, that looks interesting. I'm definitely going to tap in with them and find out what they thought of this journey because I really want to share their perspective if I come through book two and sort of wrap this up. Now, Tales from the gas station teaches us many things, but if it teaches us anything, it's that reality is overrated. Maybe it's better to just clock in, get through your shift, and hope you don't see anything you can't unsee. Or at least that's how Jack is approaching it. You just want to get through the day and not have to get grossed out. And with that, we wrap up today's deep dive. This book is wild, let me tell you. And I can't wait to hear what you think. Please share if you've read this book or are interested in reading this book in the comments below. And you can always join me on my social pages. I'd love to join a conversation on Discord that really dives into some of the books that we share. So drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know what your favorite part is, because I know what mine is and I'd love to share. And what theories do you have about the gas station? And are you brave enough to move on to book two? That's another question entirely. I enjoyed reviewing this book. I really did have a good time. So I hope you subscribe and I hope you like, because I loved enjoying this and bringing it here. Goddess Garden Book Chat is a safe space for readers of all genres. So let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, stay weird, stay curious, and keep reading. This is Goddess signing off from GGBC. And as a side note, I did this in one take, patting myself on the back. See you guys next time.
Sitting down, I've got the time. Open pages, unwind my mind. Stories take me far away. In this world, I want to stay. Every word feels like a dream. Lost in fiction's gentle stream. Turn the pages, let me fly.